Finn had already checked the time 3 times before the train even arrived. 11:47 p.m. Another overtime night. Another silent ride home. He worked in a corporate office, the kind of job that looked stable on paper, but quietly drained everything out of you. By the time he stepped onto the last train, his shoulders were tight, his eyes heavy, and his mind still stuck on unfinished emails. He didn't notice much at first. Just a nearly empty carriage, a few scattered passengers, and a low hum of the train moving through the dark. Finn took a seat near the middle, placing his bag on his lap. Inside was his laptop, his wallet, and everything he needed to function. He leaned back, exhaling slowly, trying to let the day go. That was when he noticed them. 3 guys, early 20s, sitting a few rows away. Loud, restless. The kind of energy that didn't belong in a quiet late-night train. One of them kept glancing around. Another was tapping his foot, too fast, too sharp. Finn looked away quickly. He didn't want trouble. He never did. The train moved into a darker stretch of track, lights outside fading into long black reflections on the window. One stop passed, then another. The carriage grew emptier. The 3 guys stood up. Finn felt it before it happened. That shift in the air. They walked toward him slowly, spreading out just enough to block both sides. One of them dropped into the seat across from him, leaning forward with a grin that didn't feel friendly. Got a phone. Finn froze for half a second, then shook his head. No, don't lie. Another one reached over and grabbed his bag before he could react. Finn instinctively pulled back, but it was too late. The zipper was already open. Hey, his voice came out weaker than he expected. Relax, the third one said, standing behind him now. We're just borrowing. They took everything fast. Wallet, phone, even check his pockets. Finn didn't fight. His body felt locked, like any movement would make it worse. His heart was pounding so loud, he could barely hear what they were saying. Nothing else. That's it. The one across from him leaned in closer. Next time, don't look so easy. They laughed. Then just like that, they moved away, heading toward the door before the next stop. Finn sat there, completely still. His hands were empty. His bag felt light in a way that made his chest sink. No phone. No money. No way to call anyone. He stared down at his lap, tried to process what just happened, but his thoughts were slow, delayed, like everything was catching up at once. The train began to slow. Doors opened. And then, police. The word cut through the air sharp and clear. A tall man stepped into the carriage, scanning the space quickly. He wore a dark uniform, posture straight, presence calm but firm. This was Taryn, a patrol officer working late-night transit rounds, the kind of cop who had seen enough to read a situation in seconds. His eyes landed on the 3 guys immediately. Stay where you are. They didn't. The moment Taryn moved, they bolted. One shoved past him. Another jumped off just as the doors began to close. Taryn grabbed one by the arm, but lost him when the guy twisted free and disappeared onto the platform. For a second, everything went quiet again. Taryn didn't chase further. He stepped back into the carriage, breathing steady, then turned his attention to the only person left. Finn. Hey, Taryn said, voice lower now, controlled. You okay? Finn blinked, like he had to come back to the moment. I think so. Taryn stepped closer, taking in the situation quickly. The empty bag. The way Finn's hands were still slightly shaking. They took your stuff? Finn nodded. Everything. Wallet? Phone? Yeah. Taryn exhaled slowly, then crouched slightly to meet him at eye level. All right. You're safe now. They're gone. Something about the way he said it, simple, direct, made it easier to breathe. I didn't. Finn swallowed. I didn't fight back. You weren't supposed to, Taryn replied immediately. You did the right thing. That hit differently than Finn expected. Taryn stood back up, already thinking ahead. Do you have anyone you can call? Finn let out a small, humorless breath. They took my phone. Right. Taryn nodded once. Okay. There was a short pause, but it didn't feel awkward. It felt like Taryn was making a decision. Here's what we're going to do, he said. You can't stay out here like this. No money, no ID. Not tonight. Finn looked up at him, unsure. So what do I do? About a rest area at the station office, Taryn said. It's not much, but it's warm. You can stay there for the night. In the morning, we file a report, go through everything properly, and I'll help you figure out next steps. Finn hesitated. The offer sounded too kind, too easy to accept. I don't want to be a problem, he said quietly. Taryn's expression didn't change, but his voice softened just a bit. You're not. A simple answer. No hesitation. Finn looked at him for a long second, tried to read if this was just duty or something more. He couldn't tell, but he did know one thing. He had nowhere else to go. Okay, he said finally. Taryn gave a small nod, like that was enough. All right, come on. They stepped off the train together. The platform felt colder now, emptier than before. Finn walked a step behind at first, still unsure, still processing everything he had lost in the last 10 minutes. Taryn slowed slightly, matching his pace without saying anything. As they walked toward the station office, Finn glanced at him briefly. Tall, calm, grounded in a way that made everything feel less chaotic. Thank you, Finn said, almost under his breath. Taryn didn't look back, but he heard it. You're good, he replied. And for the first time since it happened, Finn felt something shift. Not relief. Not yet. But maybe the start of it. The station office was quieter than Finn expected. Not completely silent, but calm in a way that felt controlled, like everything inside followed a rhythm. Taryn led the way through a side door, swiping a keycard before pushing it open. This is just a staff rest area, he said as they stepped inside. Nothing fancy, but it'll do for tonight. The room was small. A worn couch, a metal table, a kettle, a heater in the corner that hummed softly. It wasn't comfortable in any luxurious sense, but compared to the cold platform, it felt safe. Finn stopped just inside the doorway, unsure where to stand or what to do with his hands. Without his bag, without his phone, he felt strangely exposed, like he had lost more than just objects. Taryn noticed it immediately. Sit, he said, not as an order, just a suggestion that carried weight. Finn nodded and moved to the couch, lowering himself slowly. Taryn walked to a small cabinet, opening it with familiarity. You want something warm? Tea or coffee? Finn hesitated for half a second. Tea is fine. Taryn nodded once, already filling the kettle. The movements were efficient, practiced. He wasn't trying to impress, just doing what needed to be done. That, somehow, made it easier for Finn to relax. While the water heated, Taryn pulled off his outer jacket and set it aside. Underneath, he still looked put together, but less distant. More human. I'm Taryn, by the way, he said, glancing over briefly. Transit police. Night patrol. Finn gave a small nod. Finn. Office worker. Or I guess that's obvious. There was a slight attempt at humor there, but it didn't fully land. Taryn didn't laugh, but the corner of his mouth moved just enough to show he understood. The kettle clicked. Taryn poured the tea, then walked over and handed the cup to Finn. Their fingers brushed for a second. Finn noticed it. Warm. Steady. He looked up briefly, then away. Thanks. Taryn leaned against the table instead of sitting, keeping just enough distance to not crowd him. You hurt anywhere? Taryn asked. No. They didn't hit me. Good. A short pause. You did the right thing, not fighting back. Finn nodded again, but this time slower. Didn't feel like the right thing. It is, Taryn replied. You're here. That matters more than anything they took. Finn stared into the cup for a moment, watching the steam rise. They took everything. Wallet, cards, ID, even my work badge. His voice tightened slightly at the end. I don't even know how I'm getting home tomorrow. Taryn didn't interrupt. He let Finn finish. Then he answered, calm and direct. We'll figure that out in the morning. I'll help you file everything, cancel your cards, contact your office if needed. You're not dealing with this alone. That sentence landed heavier than expected. Finn let out a quiet breath. You do this for everyone. Taryn shrugged lightly. Depends. On what? On whether they let me help. Finn looked up at that. Taryn's expression didn't change, but there was something underneath it. Not cold. Not distant. Just careful. Finn took a sip of the tea. It was simple, a little too hot, but it grounded him. His hands were still shaking slightly, though less than before. Taryn noticed that too. He pushed the heater a bit closer with his foot. You'll warm up in a bit. Finn glanced at him. You don't have to stay, right? You probably have rounds or something. Taran shook his head once. I'm on shift, but this counts. You're part of it. That answer again. Straight. No extra explanation. Finn leaned back into the couch, letting the tension slowly leave his shoulders. For a few minutes, neither of them spoke. Just the hum of the heater, the faint sounds of the station outside, and the quiet between two people who didn't know each other but didn't feel like strangers anymore. After a while, Finn spoke again. I work in finance, he said, almost like he needed to fill the silence. Late nights, deadlines. I don't usually take this train, but overtime. Taran nodded, listening. You live alone? Yeah. Finn gave a small, tired smile. No one waiting at home. So it didn't really matter how late I got back. Taran studied him for a second, then looked away, giving him space to continue if he wanted. Finn did. I used to think I liked it that way. Quiet. No complications. He paused, then added, Tonight didn't feel quiet, though. Taran let out a short breath. Yeah, nights like this don't stay quiet for long. Another pause. But this one felt different. Less tense. More open. Finn shifted slightly, setting the cup down. What about you, he asked. You always do night shifts? Taran crossed his arms loosely. Mostly. Fewer people. Easier to manage. Or easier to avoid. Finn said it before he could stop himself. Taran looked at him then. Not offended. Just aware. Maybe both. Finn held his gaze for a second longer than he meant to, then looked away. Sorry. Don't be, Taran replied. You're not wrong. The air shifted again. Subtle, but there. Finn rubbed his hands together, trying to warm them. Taran noticed and reached over to adjust the heater again, this time closer. As he did, his hand brushed against Finn's briefly. Not an accident this time. Just a moment. Finn felt it. The warmth. The steadiness. Neither of them pulled away immediately. Then Taran straightened, stepping back just enough to reset the distance. You should try to rest, he said. It's been a long night. Finn nodded, but didn't lie down yet. You? I'll be around. Finn finally leaned back fully on the couch, his body heavier now that the adrenaline had worn off. He closed his eyes for a second, then opened them again, glancing at Taran. Hey, yeah. Thanks. Not just for this. For earlier too. Taran didn't respond right away. Then he gave a small nod. You're safe. That's what matters. Finn watched him for a second longer, like he wanted to say something else, but didn't. Instead, he shifted slightly, pulling the jacket Taran had left nearby over himself without asking. It still held a bit of warmth. And for the first time that night, Finn let his eyes close without forcing it. Taran stayed where he was, leaning against the table, arms crossed loosely, watching the room without really looking at anything specific. But every now and then his eyes flicked back to the couch, making sure Finn was still there. Still okay. And somehow, that felt just as important as anything else he had done that night. Finn didn't fully fall asleep. It was more like drifting in and out, his body finally relaxing, but his mind still catching up with everything that had happened. At some point, he shifted on the couch, the jacket slipping slightly off his shoulder. Before it could fall, a hand caught it and pulled it back up. Taran. He didn't say anything, just adjusted it and stepped back again. Finn noticed, even with his eyes half closed. He didn't move away. A while later, Finn opened his eyes properly. The room was still the same, quiet, steady. Taran was sitting now, on the chair across from him, one arm resting on his knee, posture relaxed but alert. Still on duty, even here. Finn pushed himself up slightly, sitting straighter. Did I sleep? He asked, voice rough. A little, Taran replied. Not long. Finn nodded, running a hand through his hair. Feels like more. Taran stood, walking back to the table. You want more tea? Yeah. This time, Finn didn't hesitate. While Taran poured the water again, Finn watched him more carefully. Before, everything had been too fast, too overwhelming. Now, with the shock fading, he started noticing details. The way Taran moved without wasting energy. The way he didn't talk unless there was something to say. The way he stayed present without pushing too close. Taryn handed him the cup again. Their fingers brushed for a second longer this time. Neither of them commented on it. Finn took a sip, then looked up. Can I ask you something? Taryn leaned lightly against the table again. Go ahead. Why did you really stay? Finn asked. You said it's part of your job, but it doesn't feel like just that. Taryn didn't answer immediately. He looked at Finn for a moment, like he was deciding how much to say. You were alone, he said finally. That's enough reason. Finn held his gaze. You see a lot of people alone, don't you? Taryn gave a small nod. Yeah. And you don't stay with all of them. It wasn't a question this time. Taryn exhaled slowly, then looked away for a second before answering. No, I don't. The room went quiet again, but it wasn't empty. There was something building in that silence, something neither of them named. Finn looked down at his cup, then back up. I used to think I was fine being alone, he said. Work, routine, go home, repeat. It was easy. He paused, then added, or at least I told myself it was. Taryn listened, not interrupting. I had someone before, Finn continued. Not recently. A few years ago. His grip tightened slightly around the cup. I thought it was real. I thought it would last. He let out a quiet breath. It didn't. Taryn's expression didn't change, but his focus sharpened. What happened? He asked. Finn gave a small, humorless smile. I trusted the wrong person. He cheated. Didn't even try to hide it in the end. He shrugged, but the movement was tight. After that, I just stopped trying. Taryn nodded once. Makes sense. Finn looked at him, surprised. That's it. What do you want me to say? Taryn replied calmly. It was unfair. It hurt. You already know that. Finn stared at him for a second, then let out a short laugh. You're not very comforting. I'm honest, Taryn said. That's usually more useful. Finn didn't argue. Instead, he leaned back slightly, studying him. What about you? He asked. You ever had someone like that? Taryn's jaw shifted slightly. Not tense, but thoughtful. Yeah, he said after a moment. Once. Finn waited. She left, Taryn continued. Said she couldn't handle the hours, the unpredictability. Said I was always somewhere else, even when I was right in front of her. He paused. She wasn't wrong. Finn tilted his head slightly. And you didn't try to fix it? I did, Taryn said. For a while. Then he added, quieter, but some things don't get fixed just because you want them to. Finn looked down again, nodding slowly. Yeah, I get that. Another pause. But this one felt heavier. More personal. Finn shifted slightly, setting his cup aside. His hands rested on his knees, fingers tapping lightly like he was thinking too much. Can I ask something else? He said. You can ask anything, Taryn replied. Finn hesitated for a second, then said it anyway. Why do I feel like you're still holding back? Taryn's eyes flicked to him immediately. Not defensive, just direct. Because I am. Finn didn't look away. Why? Taryn held his gaze for a long second. Then he pushed off the table, stepping a little closer. Not too close. Just enough to shift the space between them. Because this, Taryn said, gesturing lightly between them, isn't something I'm used to. Finn's chest tightened slightly. Talking. No, don't reply. Letting someone see me. That landed deeper than Finn expected. He didn't respond right away. Instead, he reached out without really thinking, his hand brushing against Taryn's wrist. A small contact. Testing. Taryn didn't pull away. Finn's fingers stayed there for a second longer, then wrapped slightly, not fully holding, just enough to feel the warmth, the presence. You're not the only one, he said quietly. The air shifted again. Closer now. Heavier. Taryn looked down briefly at their hands, then back up at Finn. You sure about that? He asked. Finn gave a small, almost nervous smile. No, but I'm here anyway. That made something change in Taryn's expression. Subtle but real. He didn't move his hand away. Instead, he turned it slightly, just enough for their fingers to rest more naturally together. Not tight, not forced, just there. Neither of them spoke for a few seconds. Then Finn said, softer now, I didn't expect tonight to go like this. Me neither, Taryn replied. Finn let out a slow breath. I thought I'd just go home. Sleep. Wake up. Same routine. He glanced at their hands. Didn't think I'd end up here. Taryn's voice dropped slightly. You regret it? Finn shook his head immediately. No. That answer came too fast to question. Taryn studied him for a second longer, then stepped just a little closer. Close enough that Finn could feel the shift in the air again. Not pressure. Not demand. Just presence. You should try to rest more, Taryn said after a moment, voice steadier again. Morning's gonna come fast. Finn nodded, but didn't move right away. His hand slowly slipped away from Taryn's, not because he wanted to, but because he didn't know what came next. Yeah, he said quietly. He leaned back onto the couch again, pulling the jacket closer around himself. But this time, something was different. The room wasn't just safe anymore. It felt shared. And as Finn closed his eyes again, he knew one thing for sure. This wasn't just a night he would forget. Finn didn't fall asleep again after that. He kept his eyes closed for a while, but his mind was too awake now, replaying everything that had just happened. The conversation, the way Taryn looked at him, the moment their hands touched and neither of them pulled away. It didn't feel like something small. It felt like the kind of moment that changes direction, even if you don't realize it right away. After a few minutes, Finn opened his eyes again. Taryn was still there, standing near the table, arms loosely crossed, watching the room without really focusing on anything. But when Finn shifted slightly, Taryn noticed immediately. You're not sleeping, Taryn said. Finn exhaled quietly. Can't. Taryn nodded once, not surprised. Yeah, adrenaline takes a while to wear off. Finn pushed himself up again, sitting on the edge of the couch this time. The jacket slipped slightly from his shoulder, but he didn't fix it. His hands rested on his knees, fingers loosely interlocked, like he was holding something in. Taryn, he said. Yeah. Finn hesitated. Not because he didn't know what to say, but because he wasn't sure if he should say it. This tonight he started then stopped. He shook his head lightly. It's not normal. Taryn didn't respond right away. No, he said after a second. It's not. Finn nodded, looking down at his hands. That's what I thought. He let out a breath that sounded more tired than before. And that's why it's a problem. Taryn's eyes sharpened slightly. A problem? Finn looked up at him. Yeah. He gave a small, tight smile. Because mornings come. And when they do, everything goes back to normal. The words hung there. Taryn stepped closer, not fast, not aggressive, just enough to make it clear he wasn't ignoring that. And what's normal for you? He asked. Finn let out a quiet laugh, but there was no humor in it. Work. Long hours. Empty apartment. No one asking where I am. He paused, then added more quietly. No one noticing if I'm gone. Taryn's expression changed slightly at that. Not dramatic, just more focused. And tonight? Taryn asked. Finn didn't answer immediately. He looked at Taryn, really looked this time, like he was trying to memorize something he wasn't supposed to keep. Tonight isn't supposed to happen, he said. People don't just meet like this and then, he stopped again. And then what? Taryn pressed. Finn swallowed. And then feel like it matters. Silence. Taryn stood there, a few steps away, watching him carefully. It does matter, he said, voice steady. Finn shook his head almost immediately. No, that's exactly the problem. He stood up now, pacing a small step forward then back. If it matters, then I have to deal with what happens after. And I don't want to do that again. Do what again? Taryn asked, even though he already knew. Get attached, Finn said, sharper this time. Trust something that doesn't last. I've done that before. I'm not doing it again. The tension in the room shifted fast. Taryn's jaw tightened slightly, but he didn't raise his voice. So what? You just walk away before anything even starts. Finn looked at him, frustration mixing with something deeper. It's easier. For who? Taryn asked. For me. Finn answered immediately. Then, quieter, at least I think it is. Taryn took another step closer. Now they were standing within reach again, the distance smaller than before. That's not easier, he said. That's avoiding. Finn let out a breath, shaking his head. You don't get it. Then explain it to me, Taryn said, calm but firm. Finn hesitated, then spoke anyway. I don't want to wake up tomorrow and pretend this didn't mean anything. And I don't want to wake up hoping it did. His voice dropped. Both options suck. That hit harder than anything else he had said. Taryn was quiet for a second, then said, "You think I don't feel that?" Finn looked up, caught off guard. "I do," Taryn continued. "You think I stay on nights because I like it? I do it because it's easier not to build something I can't keep." He paused, then added, "But tonight's different." Finn's chest tightened slightly. "Yeah, that's exactly why it's dangerous." Taryn exhaled slowly, then reached out. This time, he didn't hesitate. His hand came up to Finn's arm, firm but not forceful, just enough to stop him from stepping back again. "Look at me," Taryn said. Finn did. "You're not a situation I'm trying to manage," Taryn continued. "You're not just someone I helped on a train. You're someone I chose to stay with." Finn's lips parted slightly, but no words came out. "And if you walk away now," Taryn added, "you're not protecting yourself. You're just making sure nothing real ever happens again." The words landed heavy. Finn's eyes dropped for a second, then came back up. "And what if I stay?" he asked quietly. "What if I let this happen, and then it disappears anyway?" Taryn didn't look away. Then at least it was real while it lasted. That wasn't the safe answer. It was the honest one. Finn's breathing slowed, but his chest still felt tight. "I'm scared," he admitted finally, voice lower than before. "I don't want to feel like I did before." Taryn's hand shifted slightly, sliding from Finn's arm to his shoulder. Still steady, still grounded. "You don't have to figure everything out tonight," he said. "Just don't run from it." Finn stood there, not moving, not pulling away. His mind was still arguing, still trying to find his safest path. But his body wasn't stepping back anymore. "I don't know how to do this," Finn said. Taryn gave a small, almost quiet smile. "Neither do I." That eased something. Not everything, but enough. The space between them stayed close. Not rushed, not forced. Just there. Finn looked at him again, longer this time. "If I stay," he said slowly, "this isn't just a night." Taryn nodded once. "I know." Another pause. Then Finn stepped a little closer on his own. Not all the way. Not completely. But enough. And this time, neither of them moved away. Finn didn't remember falling asleep again, but when he opened his eyes this time, the room felt different. The air wasn't as heavy, and the faint light coming through the window told him it was early morning. For a second, he didn't move. He just lay there on the couch, the jacket still draped over him, replaying the last thing he remembered, standing close to Taryn, choosing not to walk away. Then reality caught up. Finn sat up slowly, rubbing his face. The events of the night came back in order. The train, the robbery, the fear, and then Taryn. He looked up. Taryn was already awake, standing near the table again, going through a small stack of forms. Still in uniform, still composed. But this time, when he noticed Finn awake, something softer crossed his expression. "Morning," Taryn said. Finn nodded slightly. "Morning." His voice sounded steadier than it had the night before. Taryn stepped closer, holding a cup out. "Tea." Again. Finn took it, their fingers brushing briefly. It felt familiar now, not accidental. "Thanks," Finn said, sitting up straighter. He took a sip, then looked around like he needed to ground himself. "So what happens now?" Taryn didn't hesitate. "We file the report. Go through what you remember. I'll get it logged into the system and flag the patrol units. If those guys are still around, we'll find them." Finn nodded slowly. "And my stuff? We'll try to recover it," Taryn said. "No promises, but you'd be surprised how often people mess up when they think they got away." That gave Finn a small sense of control again. Taryn pulled a chair over and sat across from him, setting the paperwork on the table. "Start from when you got on the train," he said. "Take your time." Finn did. He explained everything clearly this time. The three guys. Where they sat. How they moved. What they said. Taryn listened without interrupting, only asking short, direct questions when needed. It didn't feel like an interrogation. It felt like someone helping him put the pieces back together. After about 20 minutes, Taryn finished writing and set the pen down. "That's enough for now," he said. "We'll follow up if we need more." Finn nodded, then leaned back slightly. The process had helped. It made everything feel more real, but also more manageable. There was a short pause. Then Finn spoke, quieter now. "So after this, I just go back?" Taryn looked at him. Back where? Finn gave a small shrug. Work. Home. Same routine. The words sounded flat, even to him. Taryn didn't answer immediately. He studied Finn for a second, like he was deciding how direct to be. Is that what you want? He asked. Finn hesitated. The honest answer came faster than he expected. No. That hung there between them. Taryn leaned back slightly in his chair, still watching him. Then don't, he said. Finn let out a small breath, almost a laugh. It's not that simple. It can be, Taryn replied. You just don't like the risk that comes with it. Finn looked down at his hands, then back up. You're not wrong. Another pause. But this one wasn't uncomfortable. Finn stood up slowly, setting the cup aside. I should go, he said. I've already taken enough of your time. Taryn stood too. You didn't take anything. Finn met his eyes. I did. He gave a small, genuine smile. But I'm glad I did. That wasn't goodbye yet, but it felt close. They walked out together toward the platform. The station was waking up now. More people. More noise. The normal world returning. Finn felt it immediately. The shift. Last night felt like something separate, almost unreal. This was real life again. They stopped near the entrance. Finn turned to him. I meant what I said, he began. About not wanting to pretend this didn't matter. Taryn nodded once. I know. Finn took a breath. I just don't know what to do with it. Taryn stepped closer, not hesitating this time. You don't have to know everything, he said. You just have to decide if you're walking away from it. Finn held his gaze. His chest felt tight again, but not from fear. From the weight of choosing. I don't want to walk away, Finn said. Taryn's expression softened slightly. Good. Another pause. Finn looked like he was about to say something else, then stopped. He shook his head lightly, like he was overthinking it again. Taryn noticed. So this time, he didn't wait. He reached out, his hand coming up to Finn's jaw, steady and certain. Not rushed. Not aggressive. Just clear. Finn froze for half a second, surprised, but he didn't step back. Then stop thinking, Taryn said quietly. And then he leaned in. The kiss was soft. Slow. No urgency, no pressure. Just enough to close the distance that had been building all night. Finn's breath caught, but he didn't pull away. Instead, after a second, he leaned in slightly too, letting it happen. It wasn't long, but it was real. When Taryn pulled back, their foreheads stayed close for a moment. Finn exhaled slowly, his eyes still half focused on Taryn. That, he started then stopped. Taryn gave a faint smile. Yeah. Finn let out a small laugh, softer than before. Okay. That one word carried more meaning than anything else he could have said. Taryn stepped back slightly, giving him space again, but not distance. Listen, Taryn said. You don't have your phone right now. I'll write my number down. He pulled out a small notepad, scribbled quickly, then handed it over. Call me when you get sorted. Finn took it, looking at the number for a second longer than necessary. I will. Taryn nodded. Good. Finn slipped the paper into his pocket carefully, like it mattered. There was another pause. Not awkward. Just full. Then Finn said, next time, maybe we meet without me getting robbed first. Taryn let out a quiet breath that almost sounded like a laugh. That'd be better. Finn smiled properly this time. Yeah. He took a step back, then another. Not rushing. Not running. Take care, Taryn, he said. You too, Finn. Finn turned and walked toward the exit. The morning light hit his face as he stepped outside, and for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel like just another day. Behind him, Taryn stayed where he was for a moment, watching until Finn disappeared into the crowd. Then he turned back to his shift. But something had changed. Not just for Finn. For him too. And this time, neither of them was walking away from it.